Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Saturday afternoon for the Saturday sit-down. Whoever thought that could happen again? What's up? Sit-downers, it's Dean Gornitis here. Unleash This Book Reviews. Every Saturday, a new book review for you. This Saturday, I've got a coffee and I've got a donut. I was requested to do another video where I was eating a sandwich, but I wasn't really in the mood for a sandwich. I kind of just, I don't know, whatever. I wanted a coffee. Tim Hortons, for you guys who don't live up here in the Northeast, sorry about it. Canada too, you guys know. The Naked Lunch, you guys have been asking for it. You got it. I read it. William S. Burroughs, a beat writer along with Jack Kerouac, Allen Ginsberg, all those poets, those drug addicts, those hippies, go on trips, come back write stories on the road and whatever. I want a bite of this donut, and I'm going to go open that window. Hold on a second. Stay with me here. Just open up the window. Come right back. Okay. So, what the hell is Naked Lunch even about? Because I don't get it. But that, I think, is what it was supposed to be. Or maybe not supposed to, but that is the general consensus, that you're not really supposed to get it in the sense of your normal everyday book. I guess Burroughs, from the essays that I read at the end of my edition, the paperback edition that's out now in bookstores is the restored text, they call it, with a lot of essays in the back. And normally I skip that stuff, but with this one, which was so baffling, I decided to take a look and read a couple of those stories, because I really had no idea on background on this one. Even like your Wikipedia articles don't give you a lot of help. But he was on all sorts of different types of opiates, heroin, all your prescription versions of that, all that kind of stuff. And he claims that he didn't really have much memory of writing what would later become Naked Lunch at all. And he goes back and he reiterates that, saying maybe he over-exaggerated, that he didn't remember it at all, but that heroin addicts, junkies, I'm bad with this slang, they're emotionally disconnected while they're on the drugs, and that side of their memory is what's at a loss. They might be able to remember the physical aspects of actually doing things, although apparently when you're heavy into this kind of stuff, you don't really do much at all. Burroughs had said a couple times in the story and in the essays afterwards about how it's easily, how do I say this? It's very easy to just sit and stare at your shoe for hours and hours while you're high on junk and not really care if friends are coming in and out of the house, whatever. I'm surprised that he actually wrote an entire book under the influence, but he did, and right after he finished it, he actually checked into a drug rehab program, which he claims, at least in the essay was written in 1960, that this style of rehab that he done worked miracles, and that not enough hospitals use it or research it. I don't know if since then if it's been more looked into, but his story was convincing. So if you ever get the restored text, check out a couple of those essays in the back. They're interesting. As far as the main story is concerned, vomit on a page. Non-stop. The story has no plot in the traditional sense. No anything. It's just a bunch of violence and rape and the word ejaculate or ejaculation probably hundreds of times. Pedophilia, all sorts of grotesque sexual perversions. Non-stop. Every page, something disgustingly sexual going on. Just men sitting in trees masturbating. That must have been said 4 or 5 times, like just randomly. Heroin addicts throughout the story, constantly sticking needles into skin, searching for veins, descriptive tellings of that. And that's like what the whole story's about. You never really focus on one thing or the next. You're more stuck in this free flow, this, I guess, as James Joyce would have put it, stream of consciousness, but the stream of consciousness on a heavy trip. Really heavy trip. I went into the story naked, no pun intended on naked lunch, but without any info on the story at all. I just wanted to experience it as something, I have this kind of thing sometimes of wanting to read without having any background on the author or the intentions at all. And I spent the first few chapters, if you want to call them that, or little sections, trying to put it all together as I was reading it, and it just wasn't working. And thank God I've read something really hard before, such as like Infinite Jest and Gravity's Rainbow, that I've had the knowledge to know to just keep reading anyways instead of trying to figure it out. Because if I would have kept trying to figure it out, I wouldn't have read much more. Because there's nothing to figure out. You just read it, and crap happens. Whether or not that makes a good book, that's a whole different argument. Now, excuse me while I eat another bite here. Gingerbread donuts. I can't really put my finger on if I liked this book or not. There's something exciting and enticing about the concept of it and the idea of it, and telling people to read it and telling people that you like it. And something almost punk, in the idea of enjoying literature of this type of really cliche to say this, but avant-garde style. But does that really translate into a good book? And I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to read this again. I like the idea of it, but I don't know if I really enjoyed the experience of sitting down and reading it. Call me boring, but I kind of like having plots when I read. I like storylines. I don't know. There were some really interesting little sections, though. Surgeries taking place with plungers. Just cut open the guy and use a plunger. And then the guy dies and the doctor thinks it's funny. And it's weird because there's a lot of grotesque, disgusting, evil stuff that's happening throughout this whole book, yet there's this really heavy sense of comedy throughout it all. I'm not sure, I was grossed out sometimes, but in the same way that you get grossed out watching a show like Tosh.0 when they show you something gross and you get disgusted but you're laughing at the same time. Stuff like that. I don't know. That's my thoughts on Naked Lunch. I don't know if I can recommend reading it or not. If you like Gravity's Rainbow, for example, there's no doubt you'll like this stuff. And if you like the beat writers like Kerouac and stuff like that, I'd say give it a shot. If you're nervous about stepping out of the box, I wouldn't really go for this. And also, you can always read the first 20 or 30 pages and see what you think, and then put it down if you don't want to finish it. There's nothing wrong with not finishing a book, I think. So maybe give it a shot if you're feeling adventurous. That's that. Next week, I wanted to read Big Fish, because it's a cool looking book and I am attracted to covers and stuff like that. But I got assigned by my local newspaper, which I work for, to check out a local writer from the Buffalo area, actually the Tonawondas, if any of you are familiar with that at all. So I'm going to check that out. I have no idea how good it is, if it's quality at all, but I'll let you know, and I promise I'm not going to do this all the time with these random books you've never heard of before, but I'm going to do it for 1 week. And then after that, it's probably going to be Big Fish, unless you guys mail me a book, like I've said in my past videos. Check out Charlie and the Chocolate Factory for more info on that. I'm looking forward to you guys shipping me some books, if you're interested in doing that little exchange I talked about. Alright? I'll see you guys next Saturday with that local book. Have fun, enjoy your holiday time this month. Alright? We'll see you next week.